Hi, I'm Mike Sokol from Church Sound University, and welcome to my section on microphone mechanics. Now, I've been a live sound engineer and have played all kinds of instruments for an excess of 50 years, but still one of my favorite things is discovering new microphones, how they work, what I can use them on, how to make it sound the best. So I'm here to kind of show you the inner workings of what microphones do and how they do it. So let's go take a look-see. Ever wonder what's inside of a microphone? Here we go. So basically what a microphone does is it converts sound energy into electricity. That's its primary job. It's like most of them are like a tiny little speaker inside. So sound goes in, electricity comes out. It's what we call a transducer. They reject sound coming from some directions better than others. So some microphones like to pick up from the top, some like from the side. It just depends on the style of the microphone and something we call its polar response pattern. And different microphones will boost frequencies in different amounts. So some microphones like to make bass, which means we'll want to put those on a bass instrument. Other microphones really like making high frequencies, which means, well, we put them on instruments that have a lot of highs that we want. The most important thing to understand, I think, is something we call the polar response pattern. And you can see down here, it's just this round-looking circle, and there's a series of concentric rings. And basically, what happens is they are a directional microphone. We call it cardioid because if you look at it, it looks kind of like a little upside-down heart, like cardiovascular. Isn't that cute? It really wants to pick sound up from the front, and it doesn't want to pick so much sound up from the side and very little from the back. Let you hear what that sounds like. Okay, here we are on this AKG 535. And you can see I'm talking directly into it. I like keeping microphones about 45-degree angle to the chin, about 2 fingers off. That's about the best place for them that doesn't pick up a lot of peep-pops and they can see what's going on. As I start rotating the microphone away from me, though, talk. You hear what's happening to my voice? My voice is really going away, and it happens on all directions. What this means is your singers or people that are speaking, guest lecturers or whoever, have got to learn that this microphone has to be pointed into their mouth in order to work. I tell them to think of it as a little flashlight. If I do this, it doesn't work. If I do this, it doesn't work. And it certainly doesn't work like this, and it doesn't work like that. And you see what we're doing. And the best distance is a couple of fingers away, chin level, slightly underneath. I think this is a great sounding microphone for so many things. Okay, let's go look at the next slide here. An omnidirectional microphone picks up from all around, equally from the front, from the back, from the sides. These were, in fact, the very first kinds of microphones. They don't reject sound from the rear and the sides, and we don't use them a lot in live situations simply because, well, it's kind of tough to, you can't point them away from the things that you don't want. Let me let you hear what that sounds like. Okay, so here I am on this Omni. Hey. And you can hear it sounds good from here, and it sounds good from here, and it sounds good from here. This is the only mic I have on. Talk from the back, from the top, from the bottom, everywhere around. We can use them in recording situations. Sometimes they work really well, like in a drums toys section. But it is not really that terribly useful for live sound because, again, we can't guide the sound by pointing the microphone where we want it. Okay, back to the headset. Supercardioid and hypercardioid microphones are much more compressed patterns, if you can see. So look at this coming from the right side of the picture. They have a much tighter pickup pattern in the front. They reject more from the back and from the sides in the supercardioid. In the hypercardioid, you see that little red bubble down there. It means it wants to pick up from the back as well. So you have to be a little bit careful with placement on that. That's just one of the ways of hypercardioidism, as it were. There's another thing that's really interesting. It's called a figure 8 mic, or we call a bidirectional microphone, or the British, for some reason that I know, they call it a figure of 8 microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and load up a figure 8 capsule on this little Shure Beta 181. There we go. And let's go back to the mic. Okay, so you can hear I'm talking on this side. I got almost like nothing here, right? Talk, you know, and talk, 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 talk. And these kinds of microphones are actually fairly useful in recording studios. Sometimes you can actually place them like on a drum kit between two toms so that they will avoid picking up snare noise. I mean, there's all kinds of tricks you can do with bidirectional microphones. However, one of my favorite things to do is something called a Leslie. How many of you guys have a church organ with a Leslie, a B3? My favorite thing. Yes, I am a Hammond B3 player. Yes, I still have a Leslie. What you can do is, if you can see down here, you set the microphone so that it's pointed up and down, and you position it halfway down the side of the Leslie cabinet. For those of you who've never seen one, a Leslie cabinet is something on the order of like the washing machine size. It's got a rotor that spins up the top and a rotor that spits down on the bottom. And the horn rotor thing up the top has more highs, and the bass speaker in the bottom has more lows. So basically what you do is you turn the microphone sideways so it ignores all the sound coming in from the stage. And then if you needed a warmer sound, you move it down a little lower. If you want to have a little more treble sound, you move it a little higher. It's one of my favorite mic tricks that you can do with figure 8 microphones. It's just a lot of fun. Another thing that you've got to watch out for, remember we said those hypercardioid microphones picked up sound from the back as well? Well, one of the things that you want to be aware of is you cannot take a hypercardioid microphone and place it directly in front of a monitor wedge. This is why you need to have 2 monitor wedges, and then the back pattern of the microphone kind of fits right down between them. Because if you don't, if you actually take the back of the microphone and point it towards the monitor, it'll squeal. So hypercardioids are really kind of tools of the professionals. I would say most people don't do well with hypercardioids. Supercardioids are great because they allow you to isolate better from side to side. But when you have a hypercardioid microphone, you not only have to watch where the front of the microphone is, you got to look in the rear view mirror and figure out where the back of the microphone is. Just a couple more quick things here before we take a break. The 2 major types of technologies that we have are dynamic microphones and condenser microphones. Dynamic microphones are basically like a little tiny speaker on the inside. They use a voice coil that's very, very rugged, which means you can beat it. You can put it in front of a kick drum. You can scream at it, and they're generally okay. They don't need any power. They're a dynamo, exactly the same kind of physics that powers the electricity coming from like Niagara Falls generators. It's what happens inside of a microphone, just like a millionth of a watt though. And they do have limited high frequency response. Since they have so many things that have to move in and out, we don't generally like dynamic microphones on instruments that have a lot of highs. They don't do a real great job. Great on bass though, great on mids. The other kind of microphone we have is a condenser microphone. And you can see down in the front here, they have a tiny little drum head kind of a thing. And that's just a stretched little piece of metal on metallized plastic. And it really looks like a little drum head. So it can move very, very fast. And they have frequency response out to, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 hertz, whatever you want. They've got their own built-in amplifier and everything inside, but that means 2 things. First off, they can overload right inside of the microphones. So you generally want to have a way to pad the microphone back. And secondly, they need battery power or phantom power. Phantom power is simply a 48 volt DC power supply that could be turned on inside of the mixing board. It runs backwards up the cable, and what it does is it actually powers the microphone on the inside. So you don't have to have batteries. We generally don't like batteries in most live things that we can get away with, simply because they have a habit of dying at a really, really inopportune time. Okay, that's it for today for microphone mechanics. Join me next time. We're going to start going into mic techniques, proper selecting microphones for a particular instrument, and a best place to save them. So, I really, really enjoyed having you guys here. Please keep me informed on any of your new things that you'd like to learn. You can see the email address, which we have posted here at the end of the video. And see you next time. Thank you very much.